On today's Hashi, I'm discussing the possibility of Trump privatizing Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, investor home purchases, and the top 10 metros where purchase mortgages are on the rise. Today is Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024. I am Byron Lazine, and the hot sheet starts now. Good morning. Hope everybody's doing well here on this Tuesday. Welcome into the hot sheet. Let me know in the live chat, if you're with me live, which market you are tuning in from today. I'm up in my Connecticut studio. And I forget who it was from Sarasota yesterday, claiming Sarasota was cold. This is cold. Okay. What's going on up here is absolutely cold. There it is. Thomas from sunny, he says today, sunny Sarasota, Florida. There you go, Thomas. You have changed it up from yesterday, frigid Sarasota, to now sunny. I think that's probably more accurate. Definitely sunny here in Connecticut, but certainly freezing cold if you're in the Northeast. I think you know what I'm talking about. I think a lot of the country right now is going through a cold snap. Donald Trump, president-elect, he may want to snap back on Fannie and Freddie. This headline yesterday, it kind of slipped under the radar. It's on CNN Business, and this CNN Business headline, it's behind a paywall. So we've extracted everything inside of BAMX, inside of the show notes, pulled it out of a paywall and broken it all down. There's actually some pretty interesting commentary here. But this slipped under the radar, especially in the real estate world. Trump potentially renewing a housing fight of bringing Fannie and Freddie out of government control and into the private sector where it once truly was. Okay. But slipped under the radar because you had in the real estate industry, you had a Compass acquisition of $444 million of app properties and the Christie's franchise. It's the massive announcement yesterday. You had Ryan Serhant raised $45 million for his app Simple. So some huge headlines yesterday as mergers and acquisitions and raising money and all of that kind of stuff is starting to heat up. Maybe a sign that 2025 is going to bring better economic conditions. Those deals coincidentally happening here as we are about to close out 2024. Market is signaling more confidence in 2025. And on the heels of an industry, a real estate industry, brokerage industry that has undertaken massive change in 2024, that still has change coming. That's right now in the messy middle. I do anticipate probably more acquisitions than you would expect in 2025 based on just, hey, I don't expect the locks. The economy's, going to have some momentum, but is it going to have enough to really foster a ton of acquisitions? I think because of the change in real estate, you're going to see a lot of acquisitions, mergers, different types of deals. And I think this might be just the beginning of that. But going back to President-elect Trump here, floating out the idea that he may want to take Fannie and Freddie Mac private. Okay. CNN had a headline on this. I only saw a couple other headlines. I don't know who's on the back end of the show notes. If they cannot be working in there while I'm in there, copy and paste. I don't know if you can send a message over there. Haley, this is what your show notes look like when the writers don't have everything highlighted. There you go. Look at that in real time, highlighting it. So show notes are available to all BAMX members. I don't know. Did we extend Black? Find out if we extended Black. It's over. It's over. Well, you can still use code HOT to get BAMX today. You get access to the show notes each and every single day. You also get access to all of the charts. But let's just break this down using the show notes because CNN has an absurd paywall on that. We extracted everything you needed to know about this inside of the show notes. So CNN exploring Trump's push to privatize Fannie and Freddie. And let's just break down what Fannie and Freddie control. They guarantee 70% of America's mortgages today. Okay, so 7 out of 10 mortgages, Fannie or Freddie Mac is guaranteeing those. Last week we just saw the non-conforming, um, the conforming loan limit going up to 806,000. That's basically government-backed loan, right? If we look at the combined valuation of, thank you, of this year, as of quarter three of this year, it's 146 billion. Privatization, the argument here inside the article is it could raise mortgage rates. Okay, Mark Zandi from Moody's Analytics estimates $1,200 annually. That's an initial estimate going back from 2016. Now, updated in 2024 from Zandi, is $1,800 to $2,800 annually for a typical mortgage lender. Okay, you're going to see that in the rates. Costs are higher for lower income borrowers or those with lower credit scores. So this is according to Mark Zandi from Moody's, that you privatize Fannie and Freddie, low income borrowers, people with lower credit scores are going to find it even more difficult, at the very least, more expensive to go out if you were to privatize Fannie and Freddie fully. Okay. Placed under government conservatorship in 2008 was Fannie and Freddie to stabilize the housing market. Clearly, the mortgage industry, banks got way out of control leading up to 2008, led to the mortgage crisis, led to the Great Depression and the Great Financial Crisis. The biggest of the last, multiple decades. This was intended, though, this conservatorship was intended to be a temporary measure. Okay. During Trump's first administration, 2016 to 2020, attempted but failed to privatize Fannie and Freddie. Government ownership could net billions during a spinoff. Okay. So this might be one of those things, as the Trump administration has promised to cut government costs, to work on the deficit potentially, that netting billions on a spinoff of Fannie and Freddie, another way to maybe check the box on some of those promises that the Trump administration is making leading up to January 20th. Government ownership would net potential billions, higher rates for the low-income borrowers, increased costs without government backstops. Okay. Potential investor concerns are uncertainty about government bailouts in future crises could lead to higher loan costs. Like, if there's a future crisis, what do you think is going to happen? The government's going to step back in. Okay. Privatization without government guarantees, higher perceived risk of mortgage-backed securities, stifling of competition in the current government-backed system. Bond traders may consider securities riskier investments. Here are some expert insights. Okay, and then we're going to get to some quotes as well. Ted Tozer from former Ginnie Mae head. Privatization isn't outlandish, but may not be worth the transitional challenges. Okay, there will be challenges on a transition, according to Tozer, former Ginnie Mae head. Susan Wader from the Wharton School. Law mandates eventual privatization, but emphasizes high stake in execution. Okay. There is right now, when they wrote it up in 2008, that it was supposed to be temporary. So it's supposed to go eventual privatization. Obviously, Trump now floating out that he wants to be the administration. He wants that feather in the cap, that he gets that done, that he secures that deal of bringing Fannie and Freddie private. Okay. There is support from a Norbert Michel CATO Institute, supports full privatization for fostering competition. Charging a government guarantee fee to mitigate market swings is a potential solution to ease concerns over not having the government backstop. If we look now at some of these quotes, Zandi says, if you're a low quality borrower, you're more risky, therefore you're going to be charged more. You don't have to pay this higher fee right now because you're backstopped by the government. Okay, so riskier borrowers. In fact, some riskier borrowers, you know, they're going to pay probably more in fees for sure, but they can get really access to really good loans as low as 3.5% down FHA and these types of loans. Um, the professor from the Wharton School that we mentioned earlier says again that they are eventually to be privatized, but the stakes are very, very high as to how this is carried out in a private market, as opposed to this is the libertarian think tank, uh, Norbert Michel, as opposed to a government controlled market. You are going to have more widespread opportunities for everybody, whether it's businesses coming in or people on the consumer side. And that's what you want. Again, you can get into, as people innovate product and government product, or I'm sorry, mortgage product as opposed to government backstop, that innovation can lead to riskier loans, which can lead to more defaults and lead to the crisis that we saw. Right now, we're in, there's no question, we're in one of the strongest positions we've been in terms of the strength of the mortgage holder. Okay. Not only do they have a huge backstop of equity, but it's 9 times harder to get a loan than it was back in, 5 and 6. And so you just have a much more qualified, stronger mortgaged homeowner right now. Bringing them back is not outlandish, as mentioned before from Tozer. But here's his comments on if he was thinking about it as a politician. As a politician, the last thing you'd want to do is cause problems when the problems don't exist. That's to my point that I just made, that, hey, we're in a very strong position right now. So is it the time right now to go and make this move when we're at, an all-time low on existing home sales going back to 1995, when we have interest rates that are hurting a lot of, fluidity into the market? So is right now the time to attack this problem when, we have issues that are hurting the housing market, this not being one of them? We go and try to fix this. Do we create more issues on top of a housing market? Listen, I'm not saying, I'm just saying this is how the former president of Ginnie Mae is looking at this. Going back to his quote here, to have a hiccup occur and then all of a sudden credit becomes more costly, or people can't get a mortgage at a reasonable rate. I don't think any politician wants to face those unintended consequences, certainly not at a time like this right now, when we already have a housing market that's been in a recession for a couple plus years. It's going to be the big challenge walking this fine line, because it's more than 15 years of this conservatorship. And so you got people on the other side saying, hey, it's been 15 years, it's supposed to be privatized. This is supposed to be temporary. 15 years at this point doesn't feel temporary. So good arguments on each side. We'll see how that plays out. I really only saw a few headlines on that, CNN Business being one of them. We broke it all out for you inside of Hot Sheet show notes, as we do each and every single week inside of BAMX. We also upload all of the charts. We have 5 charts on the next topic inside of BAMX for our BAMX members. Use code HOT today to get your Hot Sheet discount for Hot Sheet loyalists into BAMX. All right, let's move over to this Redfin report now. On investors. Investor home purchases plateau after a pandemic era roller coaster ride. Okay. So home purchases fell 2% year over year in the third quarter. In Florida, investor purchases posted double-digit declines. And that's because of an ongoing climate and insurance crisis in Florida, according to this Redfin report. Redfin, again, though, just caveat, they like to blame everything on the climate. Like if, the Redfin chief economist, if, she spills coffee on herself in the morning, she'll blame it on the climate. Trust me, just follow her X thread. Everything is the climate's fault. I think Redfin just gets a little bit out of their zone of knowledge the more they talk about climate. But there is obviously a huge insurance issue, and that is related to climate for Florida, which makes the investments more costly. Okay, you do have inventory increasing rapidly in Florida right now, more rapidly than other places. I don't want to make it sound like it sound crazy here, but it is going up higher rate than other places. that should lead to stabilization of prices, which can bring in more opportunity for investors. But right now, investor purchases are at a double-digit decline in Florida. Investors purchased 16% of the homes sold in the third quarter, and that was roughly the same share as last year. The biggest drop was of condos by 11%, driven by declines in Florida. And here the year-over-year growth in investor purchases right now, we're at -2%, after obviously seeing enormous growth during the pandemic, really unprecedented growth over the last 24 years on investor purchases. As rates go down, investing becomes obviously more lucrative to take lower interest rates and put it onto an asset like real estate. Here's the share of investor purchases. Investors purchased $38.8 billion worth of homes in the third quarter. It is up 3.4% in terms of dollars from a year earlier, similar to the increase in home sale prices over the same period. In September, 8.3% of the home listings were from investors, which is actually down from 8.7% a year earlier, but up slightly from the pre-pandemic share on investor listings right now. So up from pre-pandemic share, maybe an opportunity for you, depending on your market, to tap into investors, as there's more of those opportunities as there was in a normal market pre-pandemic, but a little bit less than last year's. Investors bought 16% of homes that sold in the third quarter. And that, though, is the lowest share in 4 years. Okay, that 15.9% that sold in the third quarter, lowest since the end of 2020. And it's only down incrementally, though, from a year earlier. So hitting a low in 4 years, but 16.2% from the year earlier. So we were trending that direction last year as we've been dealing with the rates. As mentioned earlier, the falling investment purchases in Florida fell the most in Lauderdale, where they declined 23.8% year over year. Next was Newark, and then Miami for investor fall-offs. Where they rose, Vegas was 27.6%. Vegas just continues to grow, it seems right now. A lot of times when you see a market pullback like you're seeing in a Florida or a Texas, Vegas is right there with it, but doesn't seem to be the case this time around. As you look at where Vegas is, getting a lot of migrants, inbound in-country migrants from California, really continuing to grow. They're going to be getting a baseball team there soon. So you're seeing investors signal to the market that they believe in the future of Las Vegas. 27.6% year over year growth, biggest increase in any metro. Seattle was at 21.8%, and San Jose are coming in at 19.5%. I think I see Ruthie in the comments. Ruthie, definitely one of the Las Vegas professionals that we love here at BAM. 4.8 people per hour move here. Wow. So maybe Ruthie, maybe it's a billboard in Vegas. Maybe it's standing on the side of the road, as they drive in from California. I don't know, 4.8 people per hour, big number. Great to be in a market like that. Investor purchases of condos again fell 11.4% year over year. Condos, you see, with inflation, you see the cost of the HOAs obviously increasing in most condos, and insurance increasing. It becomes harder to make the numbers work, especially with where interest rates are at. Here are some other metro level highlights. Miami investors bought 28+% of all homes that sold in the third quarter, biggest share of any metro. Anaheim was 24% of all homes that were purchased. San Diego was 23+%. On the other side, the smallest shares, 7.8% of the homes sold in Providence, Rhode Island, were to investors. Montgomery, Pennsylvania, Warren, Michigan were also in the bottom three of investors' share of homes sold in a given market. In capital gain news, Detroit, the typical home sold by an investor went for 135% more than they bought it for. It's the biggest gain. Philadelphia at 109 and Newark at 106. Smallest cap gains were Phoenix, Vegas, and Sacramento. And there's a whole bunch of data in here. You can pull your local region or the city closest to you using this data that we will link up for you guys inside of BAMX. Investor purchases year over year down in Atlanta, down in Baltimore, down in Charlotte, down in Cincinnati, up in places like Cleveland, down in Jacksonville, up big in again in Vegas, up in LA, down in Miami, Minneapolis, up. You can grab your location and with all the information that we broke out for you inside of BAMX. Speaking of locations, Atom, ATTOM, has a look at the top 10 U.S. metros with purchase mortgage originations on the rise. If I'm in one of these areas where you see mortgage originations on the rise, that's good information for sellers to get out in front of the spring market to time. There's no real such thing as timing, but if you have the luxury of timing to be able to hit the spring market as these numbers are going on the rise, to increase your chances of getting obviously a competitive situation on your home. The areas where you're seeing mortgage originations on the rise right now, and over the last 8, 9, 10 weeks, we've seen mortgage applications anyways year over year show positive strength. Here are the areas where more buyers are originating mortgages. You've got Honolulu, Goshen, Indiana. You have Orlando region, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Cape Coral is interesting because the prices have come down. The inventory has gone up. Now you're seeing buyers potentially moving back into that market. Trenton, New Jersey coming in at 6. Palm Bay, Florida at 7. South Bend coming in at 8. Notre Dame having a really good year right now. Lynchburg, Virginia coming in at 9. And then Indianapolis, which is a city I think that'll be on the rise for years to come, coming in at 10. That's where mortgage originations right now are on the rise. The growth represented the second consecutive quarterly increase, trend not seen in over 3 years on mortgage origination increases. Yesterday, the mortgage rate, speaking of mortgages, came in at 6.91, just a slight tick up from where we ended the holiday week at 6.88. We are seeing an improvement right now on the 10-year coming in at 4.176. Over the last 24 hours, that is down. You saw a Fed official yesterday, potentially, maybe you saw it, said, hey, I'm not opposed to a December cut. That December cut is coming, or December meeting rather, is coming in 15 days. CME Group now saying a 74% chance that we actually get a cut. So that in the last 24 hours has improved, that the Fed will do a quarter point. The chances, according to CME Group, that we'll see a quarter point cut. We're also seeing a 10-year now starting to ease up. That should hopefully lead to a 30-year, fixed rate, maybe getting a little better here today under that 6.9 level. We saw the 30-year fix coming into December last year trending down, and then obviously by the end of December, early January, there were conditions that forced that right back up. Hopefully this will be a trend that continues through the first quarter. We'll be covering it all and breaking it all down right here on the hot sheet. If you're enjoying the hot sheet, obviously hit subscribe and hit the notification bell here on YouTube to get the most out of what we do at BAM. Join BAMX, where you get the most relevant content. We sift through everything for you, so you just have to work with what you need on a day-to-day basis. Done for you content every single week inside of BAMX. Use code HOT. All BAMX members get the Zudilio platform included in your BAMX membership. Zudilio is helping agents across the country get more listings and have 4 offers on listings to compete with iBuyers, so that their clients don't have to be wooed away by those national iBuyers. You can be the iBuyer. You get that all included inside of your BAMX membership. Use code HOT today to get into BAMX. Hope everybody has a great Tuesday. I'll be on The Real Word here on the main channel later on today. If you listen on Spotify or Apple, The Real Word is available. Just type in The Real Word, BAM, whatever, on Apple, Spotify to find that there. We'll be talking about the big acquisition, obviously, from Compass and what's going on in real estate brokerage news world on the Real Word later today. Till then, have a great morning. And of course, toodaloo.